Alrighty, folks, as promised, this is another portfolio review. This is something I look forward to doing 100 times this year. I think this is number 12, might be number 13. We got the one and only Jeremy. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing well. Why don't we just start with who is Jeremy, where are you at with your portfolio, and then we'll get into the kind of Q&A section. So what's going on?
Yeah, for sure. My name is Jeremy Van Worden. I am living currently in British Columbia, Canada. I have a wife and 5 children.
Ooh,
and we invest in Michigan. So I have a small portfolio at the moment, hoping to grow it. So right now I have a single family house. It's a 3-bed, 1-bath. I'd say it's worth somewhere around $240.
Okay.
Rents for about $1,550 a month. It's been recently fully renovated.
Okay.
And I have a duplex, which is a side-by-side 2-bed, 1-bath. And that's probably, I'd estimate around $300,000 or so value. Rents are coming in there at about $2,500 a month.
Okay.
Second duplex is a 2 units that are 3-bed, 1-bath each. So it's quite large.
Yeah.
My favorite property. And this one's worth probably $360, $375, somewhere in that ballpark. I haven't had recent evaluations done on them, but that's my guess. Rents there are about $3,250.
Nice.
And then I just recently, as of fall of 2025, sold what you would call a crocodile, Michael.
Nice.
So got rid of that one, and it was just kind of costing me money. It was kind of bringing the rest of my portfolio down. So I'd be losing money there, and the other rentals were having to float it, feed it, basically. So
yeah, first off, kudos for that. A lot of people build a smart portfolio, and it's very common to have one that just doesn't work out, and a lot of people just struggle, and they just let the good ones pay for the bad ones. I want to compliment you on that first. Some people look at going backwards, like, oh my God, I lost a unit. No, you saved a headache. So yeah, folks, if you have an alligator and you're feeding it month after month after month, year after year after year, sell that damn thing, right? Put that capital, put that equity to use somewhere else. Full blessing on that. So nice work there. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then what I did with that money basically is I took that money, I renovated the single family, and I renovated the second unit in my larger duplex. I had already done the first unit. So basically I have, the 1 duplex and the single family all completely renovated, getting good rents.
Very cool.
And then
what's the equity position right now in the portfolio? Like 50%, 70%? I mean, just roughly.
Yeah. So basically my portfolio, let's say my portfolio in total is around 900K.
Okay.
And debt I'm carrying on right now is 212.
Ooh,
so my current loan to value is it's in that 23% range, I'd say.
Yeah. It's okay. All right. So you're equity rich.
Right. So basically what happened was I purchased my first property in 2011 when I purchased that first duplex. Let that one season for a couple of years, and then I was on holidays, and I was basically using this rental property to pay for my holiday. Didn't pay for the whole holiday, but I thought this is kind of cool. I need to do more of this. So
some is good, more is better.
Yeah. So what I did was after that one had seasoned, I did a cash out refinance on that one. And that's when I purchased the other 3 properties. And of course, one of them I've now sold. And that was in 2013 is when I bought those ones. Since then, I did a couple cash out refis on the 1 duplex and the 2 single families. The mistake I made was I took that money and I put it into other investments, business, whatever. And those didn't do, they just didn't do what my real estate has done for me. And so I kind of, sitting here in 2026, now looking back at, the last, let's say 16 years and saying like, why did I ever stop doing what was working for me and go try something else? So now I'm here to get back to what has worked for me in the past. That's the desire anymore. Anyways.
That's really cool. I do want to call you guys' attention to a video I talked about this morning with Isaiah, Canadian investor. This is very common. A lot of folks, had that proof of concept move forward, and then they get what I'll call shiny objects or rabbits or butterflies, and you get kind of distracted. So I will tell you, if you have something that's working, continue to do that. That would be my long-term advice for you. But yes, all All right, so let's get into what I know you came with a set of questions. Why don't we jump into those?
Yeah. So I think, being a long distance investor, I'm going to have a little bit of a different, like, I don't have the option to do, a BRRRR where you do it yourself, or a house hack where I'm living in one side of a duplex and renting out the other, or even what Dion does where he self-manages and stuff like that. I just don't have those options. So right off the bat, my, say 10 to 12% of my rents are going to management, right?
Yep.
And so things look a little bit different for me. In my mind, it feels more like a long-term retirement play rather than like, hey, I'm trying to replace my income right now. I'm working up in Canada here right now, and I don't need to pull money out of my rentals to feed my family's lifestyle right now. So, but that's just where I'm at right now. Of course, would I love to see that in the future where I could, pull some of that income for a living? Absolutely. I would love that. But
so my first thought on that, that statement is that's very much who I am, and probably most of the people at one rental at a time. We're not looking, and dare I say, don't even recommend saying, how fast can I replace my income? I think that sets up a recipe for disaster. I think you make lots of bad decisions, and those compound and really create chaos and likely pain. I love the idea of, a 10-year vision. I mean, I just think it takes 10 years to get rich. And, if you could, add one a year, one every 2 years, structured, safe, quality, you're just like, hey, that's just like, checking a box, right? Oh, I did this one. And then, 2 years later, oh, got another one.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in a hurry.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's great. So I guess, I'll just get into my questions now, if that works for you.
Yeah, please.
Perfect. So right off the bat, I would say, like, if you had my portfolio, what would be your recommendation? The loans that I'm holding right now are all in that 3.75 to 4.25. So really, really great rates there.
Yeah.
Low payments, like my one duplex that is my bigger duplex. I've never refinanced that one. So I think I owe like $31,000 on it, and I have like a $200 mortgage payment on every month. So, I love that, but I also realize I might need to sacrifice some of that in the name of growth, because I am in the growth phase for sure.
Yeah. Well, I guess my question there is, if you don't tap that, do you already have, like, are you able to save money from the day job and lifestyle? You have 5 kids. That's a lot of mouths to feed. So the answer might be no. But I would like to get you on a strategy where once a year, maybe once every 18 months, you're adding a quality unit. So if you can do that from income and cash flow, no reason to go tap that equity. But if the answer is no, there is no other option, right? So that's my answer there is can you save for a down payment from your day job?
Yeah, I would say no. I would say I want to keep my my income up here in Canada for my living expenses up here in Canada. My properties down there, like I said, I've pulled a little bit up, but really not a lot. It's they have paid off my student loans because I went to college in the U.S., so they paid off my student loans. They've done good things for me. But I want to keep the two separate, I think.
All right, so I think that's very wise. It's probably what I would do as well. So what I would, looking at the portfolio as I see it, I think there is no reason you can't get to 450K, which would be a 50% LTV. Right. So that's roughly 240 grand of money. Now, again, I don't really care how you get there. You could take one of these assets all the way up to 80% and leave the others alone. You could take multiple loans out. Again, this is my goal for, if this was my portfolios, what puzzle pieces can I play with to get to 450K in debt, which would give me 240 grand to redeploy. It would keep this portfolio relatively safe, likely still cash flowing. And then, so that's answer to step one is I think you have to tap it, and I would not go above 50%.
Okay. Keep it under 50. That was one of my questions for you. And then how do you feel about, so I know what my buy box is. I want to be, small multifamily in Michigan, and I know what I want. Do I, I can look at, say, like a B class neighborhood and get something that's, say a fourplex that's not going to maybe give me the cash flow, or maybe it'll be a break even kind of play, but it has better appreciation versus, you know, and then maybe in that I need to put in, you know, 30 or 35% down in order to make it work. How do you feel about that? Putting in a bigger down payment in order to make the numbers work?
So I'm not opposed to that. It's all about yield to me. I think, you know, if you're looking to stack one property a year or one property every 18 months, I think that's where you want to play Class B. You know, versus going for the cash flow in Class C. I think that's a disaster waiting to happen. Especially out of state and all these other things, I've seen plenty of people lose trying that. It becomes an alligator and they just are forced to sell it, maybe even at a loss. I think there's nothing wrong with buying quality rentals in today's market at today's rate. You're going to put more down.
Yeah.
But again, you're keeping your portfolios separate, right? Life here, and then you're letting your assets buy the next asset. You know, 35% down. I've done that plenty of times. I've done 40% a couple of times.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. No, that's helpful. And then what about like, because I want to, you know, my next step, I kind of have this dream of, I want to, you know, maybe like a fourplex or even like one property that has 2 fourplexes on it would kind of be like my dream. I've seen a couple of these pop up. And then how would you feel about me selling the single family, the remaining single family that I have in order to make that happen, with knowing one thing though, which is that I cannot do a 1031 exchange because I'm a Canadian citizen. And so there's no tax benefit to me doing a 1031 exchange because you know, Canada will just tax me on the money that I save. Down. So,
yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with taking a small seed, in this case, a single family, and turning it into a 4 or 8. I did that a lot. You're just playing Monopoly, right? What is it? What one red house or a green house becomes a red hotel. Nothing wrong with that. Great strategy. I would make sure to match quality, right? If the house is a B, buy a B. But yeah, I don't think there's anything like these people that are trying to optimize life because of the tax code. That leads to a lot of bad decisions. If you're paying taxes, it means you made some money.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, you know, it's I would rather pay taxes than do a bad 1031. And I know a 1031 is not an option, but I've seen plenty of people do bad 1031s because of the IRS. And I'm like, God, you're going to pay for that one way or the other.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if I have any other specific questions.
Yeah. So the last thing I would say here, back to your fourplex in the B area being expensive. Again, the one thing you have on your side is time. Like I would do what I'm telling everybody to do is what's a list price on a fourplex today? Is it $500,000 or what's rough list?
Yeah.
price?
Like I would say, you know, if you find a fourplex that meets the 1% rule in a B class neighborhood, you know, you're probably in that 600 to 700. Okay. Like let's say high 5s to high 6s kind of thing.
Yeah. So I'll just pick 600 just because I have a simple example. So again, if you're fishing for a fourplex and you're seeing them all at 600, and you know, finally one of them goes, you know, 60 days on market. So it's been listed for quite a while, but you like it. There is nothing wrong than writing an offer at 500. Because I think a lot of people get into this game and they feel like they have to pay list price or close to list price. Let me tell you this. If there's something on the market for 600 and your offer is 590, that's not disrespectful. Yeah. Write the offer at 499 or 500. Look for a counter, because if you can end up negotiating a 550 purchase price, that's less money you have to put down, right? You're no longer talking 35% of 600. You're now talking 30% of 550. So because you don't have to buy every deal, use time to your advantage and just write more aggressive offers.
Yeah, I'm a real estate agent up here in Canada, so we've been seeing more of that lately.
I like it.
Yeah, and you know, I will say that when you see these, you know, like I said, say a fourplex that meets the 1% rule, or duplex even for that matter, in the market that I'm buying in, these are selling, you know, 1 or 2 days on market, multiple offers,
quick,
right?
Yeah,
they're selling fast when they're coming on market priced right. So I need to be in a position where I'm ready to
Yeah, you got to be able to stroke that check.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it's not really an option to, if a good product comes on, to see it sit around for 60 days, it's probably
well,
not.
That's why that's why you have a buy box. The rhythm of the market. And if the market right now is selling quickly, then you need to strike fast. And that just tells me you're doing the work. So congratulations. Most people aren't. So again, that's why you do the work. You have a buy box. You look every day because the rhythm of the market will tell you. And right now it's telling you if there's a quality asset at a 1%, it's going to sell in 48 hours. So go get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So don't be afraid to refinance, but keep it at that 50% loan to value.
I would.
You're saying across the total portfolio. Yeah. So I could do a 75 on one of my duplexes.
Correct.
And then leave the other duplex alone.
Absolutely correct.
Balance it all out. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's a portfolio total of if it's worth 900, go to 450.
Yeah. And then hopefully for subsequent properties, we can get it to where, the cash flow is, like you said, every 1 to 2 years, kind of creating enough for a down payment to add an additional one.
Bingo. Exactly right. Very cool.
Awesome. Any other parting advice for me?
No, again, I think, kind of going back to the earlier story, like folks, when you find something that's working, you find a market that's working, there's no reason to get distracted. Don't say I'm bored. This is too easy. Keep stacking chips. Yeah. Jeremy, absolutely. Thank you for doing this. Any last closing thoughts or for anyone?
No, I think that's super helpful. I mean, I think it kind of reiterates what I'm already kind of thinking. And now it's just a matter of talking to, some mortgage brokers and trying to do a refi and get ready to buy.
There you go, Jeremy. Well, thank you very much. Keep me posted. Let me know how it goes. Thank you for doing this, and we'll talk next time.
Sounds good. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Take care.